How you doing, sir? What's going on? Huh?
Hey guys, retired Lieutenant Todd Heaton here with Humilitas First. So, Phoenix police officers are dispatched to locate, investigate, or deal with some kind of dispute involving a potential trespass. The suspect's supposed to be in the alley. They get out with this guy sitting on the ground.
Hi. No, put those down. Put the scissors down. Scissors? No. The scissors, you gotta put them down. What's the matter? You gotta put the scissors down. Huh? Hey. No habla. The scissors. Put them down. What's that? Yeah, scissors in there. Just so. I don't speak Spanish. He speaks Spanish.
The unjust aggressor is holding a pair of scissors in his right hand. What we're going to see next is a pre-threat indicator. He's going to stand up.
Put the scissors down.
By standing up, he regains mobility. Now he can move quickly and attack any of the officers that he chooses. Let's walk through what just happened here as it relates to John Boyd's OODA loop. The unjust aggressor sees the legitimate authorities, the police. He hears them telling him something and gesturing for him to put the scissors down. His decision is twofold. First, no, I'm not going to put the scissors down, as I may need these for what comes next. Secondly, I'm going to stand up and regain my mobility, as I need mobility to be able to run over and stick you with these scissors. The act, or lack of a required act, occurs immediately and repeatedly. Every time he's told to put him down, he makes a decision. No. Look, act can be both something that he does or fails to do, especially when that act, upon the command of a police officer, is required by law. That's pretty much resisting or obstructing a police officer in a nutshell. The standing up without being asked to stand up is both an action and a pre-attack indicator. From a training perspective, if this guy starts to stand up with the scissors still in his hand, it's time to ready up that firearm. When we see this guy bend his knee and brace his hands on the ground, we know that he's preparing to stand up. How long does it take this guy to stand up? Just under 2 seconds. Nobody told him to stand up. Why is he standing up?
Put the scissors down right now.
This is pretty much a universal sign anywhere in the world when legitimate authorities, police, begin raising their voices with a sense of urgency and pointing a firearm at you, that you ought to drop whatever is in your hands that is freaking them out and show your hands, or stop doing whatever other threatening thing that you're doing to cause this sense of urgency.
Scissors down. If you step one forward, I will shoot you. Just one more. Put the scissors down. Put them down. Put the scissors down. Don't move. Don't move. Put the scissors down. Put the scissors down. Hey. One move forward. One step. One step. You will get shot. One step.
So officers tried using a taser. That failed to incapacitate this guy. We heard this officer tell him several times if he takes one step towards them, he's going to be shot. Well, we're going to see the suspect take 4 steps in 1.5 seconds before the officer is able to react, sending that first round into the unjust aggressor to stop him. The bad guy's act of advancing, it beats the reaction of the officer by 1.5 seconds, which tells me that the officer may have been a little bit surprised, juxtaposed to expecting this to happen. At this point, the bad guy has rejected multiple commands and gestures to put the scissors down. Look at the backdrop. We have a concrete cinder block wall. If officers were to have a pass-through or a miss, this is a good backdrop. By far, the best backdrop or cover is going to be an old, large tree. But I also like this backdrop. As the bad guy begins to advance, we do have the rest of this wall as a good backdrop. But for how long? 1.5 seconds, and now we have a major problem. We have a potential blue-on-blue crossfire. And this officer right here is downrange of the bullets that are being sent at a bad guy who's moving. This is the crux of the matter. Your decent backdrop is going to rapidly expire when the bad guy lunges, action beats reaction, into a position that causes a crossfire. This is why it is often better to go early within the window of opportunity. that moral, physical, and legal window of opportunity. Okay, so from a training perspective, how could officers hedge against this kind of situation? To understand things, you often have to go back to the beginning. Right here is the unjust criminal aggressor. So where would officers want to stop? If they knew that he had an edged weapon, or once they see he has an edged weapon, where would they want to back up to? Well, this would be fine. Maybe even a little further back away from him, but where he can still hear us, where we can still communicate. If you find yourself in a tight place like this constricted alleyway, your tactics are going to need to be on point. At Humilitas First, one of the underlying fundamental principles taught is tactical staging. This is the first part of tactical staging. Let's call the direction that this officer is facing south, meaning that this officer came into the alley from the north. He's going to want to communicate on his radio that approaching officers should approach from the north and stay clear of the southern approach, as that is a kill zone. Why should we act early within a window of opportunity? Simple. The preservation of your own life and the protection of other innocents as it relates to collateral damage. We have to take a look at Boyd's OODA loop from the officer's perspective to help understand this. The officer sees the bad guy has a knife, and though he's told repeatedly to drop the knife, he escalates the threat exponentially by standing up and acquiring mobility. Mobility gives him the ability to rapidly advance, closing the gap, and potentially kill an officer. Look at this other angle to see just how close this bad guy is to the officer. So when properly trained, one aspect of orientation is to build in a trained response. There are reasons that I don't have time to dig down on why officers do things like entering into goofy loops. Drop it, drop the knife, drop it, put it down. Why they hesitate, or they just get stuck in the decision-making stage. Most of the reasons have to do with legal or administrative fears. They don't want to get charged with the crime for doing their job. They don't want to get fired. In this case, as often in others today, we see the officer get stuck in the decision-making stage. He draws the line in the sand way too far back to the advantage of the unjust criminal aggressor. Where does he draw the line? If you take one more step, I'm going to shoot you. In other words, he's telling the bad guy he's not going to make the decision. He's going to let the bad guy act first. The bad guy knows he gets to move before anything happens. Why would you give up initiative? And even more concerning, why would you tell the bad guy you're going to let him go first? If you absolutely need to say something, then tell him one time, very loudly. Drop it. The window of opportunity opens as this bad guy begins to stand, simultaneously disobeying the commands and gestures to drop the knife. Realize that in this kind of a narrow, constricted, confined area where the margin of error is so tight and you lack both time and distance, and urgency holds sway for you to take action. You might believe that you have the ability to instantly go to work and stop in the threat as soon as he starts to move, but that's not reality. Action beats reaction. That's reality. By how much depends on things like whether or not you've built in a trained response, whether or not there is some fear affecting your will, which causes you to hesitate or get stuck in that decision-making stage. Your expectations and the degree by which you're surprised. Also, the athleticism and the relative speed of your adversary. If you want to see the whole video, I'll put a link in the description below. But when this officer does begin shooting, and this is the first shot right here, there's a quick succession of half a dozen shots, and this innocent police officer begins moving quickly this direction to get out of the line of fire.